This video is going to be a commentary preview of the Lions' trip to New York to face the Giants in preseason week 1. Technically, I guess, actually North Jersey. First preseason game for the Lions. I wanted to do a preview. There will be no film here. Obviously, there's no film to show, just commentary and pictures that'll scroll through. It's going to be interesting for me, regardless of the fact that so many starters will not participate for either team. I would do the same thing as a coach. If I had the responsibility of making that decision, there's certain guys that would obviously hold out, and the coaching staff will probably hold out even more than that. I mean, why should Jared Goff or Amon-Ra St. Brown play? Those guys got a ton of reps in the last couple of days, I guess Monday, Tuesday, actually, in the joint practices against the Giants. Certainly no reason to see a starting caliber offensive lineman out there who could get rolled up on, or one of your DBs that's going to be relied upon. Already watched all the competitive situations from this week. As a coach, that is, they would have already watched them facing the Giants wide receivers, Malik Nabers, Jalen Hyatt, some of the other smaller, quicker slot-type guys that are proven, in fact, Wan'Dale Robinson and Isaiah McKenzie. They've seen all they need to. The film is there for the Lions defensive staff to see some of their starters. I know Nabers was reported as having like 16 or 17 catches over the course of 2 days. Look, he's incredibly talented. Anyone could see that. He's a legit wide receiver talent. Good for the Giants. But I've never seen people report like 7-on-7 stats. It's so incredible to me that we're getting that now. We're to the point where people are reporting Caleb Williams has 51 touchdowns and 3 interceptions in training camp. It's like some of those are 7-on-7. Some of those are one-on-one situations. I'm sorry, I don't trust the reporters, most reporters, I should say, to be able to accurately describe to us whether it's a team situation or a one-on-one or a 2-on-2 or a 3-on-3. I would call it over-reporting, in fact, and some of it's just done by fan bases to try to prop their guys up to make them feel better. The storylines I'm looking forward to, the points of emphasis for me in this game, number one, Hendon Hooker's first live action in an NFL game. I have read and heard that he's struggled at times in training camp, and in our Lions Discord, which is a part of my Patreon, we've discussed that. Let's find out in a game. Like Dan Campbell said, he needs reps. He needs reps in as many game situations as possible. Let's do it this way. I know there's going to be a lot of Tennessee fans, Tennessee Volunteer fans, that is, who will be watching regardless of who starts. Personally, I see no reason for Hooker not to be the starter tomorrow. Put him in a situation. I know the Lions released a depth chart, and Nate Sudfeld is listed as the backup to Goff with Hooker as the third stringer. Fine. I would still start him. Put him in a position to perform. See how he responds. Now, granted, the coaching staff from Dan Campbell, Ben Johnson on down on the offensive side, they probably know what they've got, or they think they know what they've got at this point. But getting him to a game is the clearest way to not only find out if he's better than Sudfeld, which he is, but also to help push his development further so he can get faced in situations where he gets information pre-snap from Ben Johnson in the helmet, goes out there and has to recognize pre-snap, okay, are we getting the look that we thought we would? Bang, let me take this curl flat concept. Or we got a different look, let me go over to the other side because my man beater is on the opposite side of the field. You want to put your third round quarterback pick in that position. I know he didn't play it all last year, but give him decisions to make live speed to then get on film so he can evaluate and hopefully improve in the second preseason game. I will be honest with you, I'm rooting for him to play well. I'm not one of those guys who says Hendon Hooker should be starting over Jared Goff. There's a huge difference between what those guys are capable of pre and post snap. It's not a knock on Hendon Hooker. It's just an experience thing. Goff has gone through the fire, has gone through a progression, some ebbs and flows as a pro quarterback, and now he's really at the top of the league, if you ask me, in terms of certain things he can do pre-snap and post-snap with his throws, his quick recognition, and getting the ball to playmakers in time, in stride, with great accuracy to let those guys run after the catch. We haven't seen Hendon Hooker do that yet in an NFL game. I think that should be priority one for this team. It is for me anyway. You'll have to let me know. I know the reports from training camp haven't been overly positive. When you get 2 or 3 or 4 different reporters giving you the same pieces of information about a player in training camp, okay, you got to accept it. Nonetheless, I still want to see him play in the first half, hopefully the entire first half. Other things I'm looking forward to. Look, Giovanni Manu, hopefully he plays a lot. The Canadian left tackle, he's listed as the number 3 left tackle, I believe. You need to see what he does against other guys on his level, meaning other defensive ends and outside linebackers that are trying to either move up the depth chart for their team or just to make the roster. Now, it's not that Manu is in danger of being cut, not at all. But we need to see where he is. The Lions coaching staff needs to see where he is, and he needs to see it as well. He needs to see that game speed. I personally don't need to see Justin Houston the fourth play at all. I know what he can do in pass rush situations, especially, but I understand someone has to be out there. Someone has to play defense. It's certainly not going to be Davenport, Hutchinson, probably not Pascal or Houston either, for that matter. There's a lot of guys out there at that defensive end, outside linebacker position that I'm looking forward to seeing. Two of them, Matthew Betts, Nate Lynn, who's a guy that I happen to have some knowledge of. Some guys that I coached in high school ended up coaching against him, well, coaching for teams that faced him in college while he was down there in North Carolina. So hopefully those guys get a lot of snaps at D end or outside linebacker. As much as I would like to see James Houston the fourth go out there and get pressure on the quarterback, because he would against that level of offensive lineman. I hope they hold him out, but I understand if he needs reps. You guys know, I think at this point, he's one of my favorite players. I'm quietly rooting for him to have a big game the first time he gets on the field, so I get to do a video about him. Defensively, overall, it'll be interesting to see who plays. Nothing for me to see from the inside linebacker group at all. You know who you are there. Anzalone, I just did a film study video on him earlier today, if you want to check that out. A long overdue film study. Anzalone, Derek Barnes, Jack Campbell, even Rodriguez. Those guys really have nothing to prove. Nonetheless, Rodriguez, I think Rodriguez suffered an injury late last week or maybe in Monday's joint practice. But him and Jalen Reeves-Maben, they probably will get a lot of opportunity if they're healthy, that is. Both of them are. They're both guys that I really like against the pass. I actually really like the film of them when they were in games last year, important games, on third downs at times, as like a dime linebacker, if you will. So for me, they don't really have to prove anything because I don't see them. There's just no way for them to jump in front of Anzalone, Barnes, and Jack Campbell in terms of every down player. But really good pass coverage skills, really good awareness, and they provide versatility. So I like their spot on the team. I don't know that they can prove anything to us in these preseason games, but they might be actually be in competition with each other for that dime linebacker role. How does the wide receiver rotation work out on Thursday against the Giants? We know St. Brown, Williams, Raymond will not play. Can Donovan Peoples-Jones get himself on more solid ground in terms of the depth chart? It's very difficult for me to understand as a Ravens fan and Ravens content creator. We faced him for, I think, 2 years, and very athletic, very dangerous guy, made some big plays on film either against the Ravens or against other teams. There's a lot of talent vying for roster spots and some occasional playing time in the regular season. You got Antoine Green. Hopefully I'm saying his name correctly. Apparently, a couple other guys got first-team reps in some of the joint practices. Fountain or Fountain being one of them, according to some of the reports that I read. I would like to see DPJ get some opportunities. To me, he seems like a more talented guy than should be playing in the first preseason game, but he's listed pretty far down on the roster, at least the last time I checked this morning. I am absolutely looking forward to seeing what they do at defensive tackle between Wingo, Martin, and Onwuzurike, if they let him go at all. They're listed as backups for McNeil and DJ Reader, but DJ Reader's yet to practice, and apparently he's not going to play early in the season, maybe week 1, week 2, whatever. So the determination of who to play in the preseason game is got it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's related to Reader's absence. You don't want to have another guy get hurt who's important, who's of value to you. Nonetheless, someone has to get out there. So defensively, I look for true third-string guys to be on the field pretty much across the board. I can't wait to see Ennis Rakestraw Jr. play, Terrion Arnold. Those guys probably won't appear at all. I did read a little bit of what Dan Gamble said about Jared Goff and some others. I hope to see Hooker play an entire half for a lot of reasons. One, so he gets the experience that Campbell alluded to, but also, if this is a selfish one, I'd like to do a film study video on his play and get that out before the Ravens game on Friday. It's going to be, for me, it's going to be a fun 3 days. Planning on watching the Lions game Thursday night, Ravens Friday, and Seahawks Saturday. Trying to train myself, or retrain myself, I should say, to be able to get reaction videos done quickly for the regular season. There's going to be some Sundays where the Lions play at 12 or 1, and the Ravens play at 4. I can't remember exactly what weeks they are, and the order might be reversed there. But the point is, I'd like to be able to do reaction videos for both games. I'm trying to train, or like I said, retrain myself to get them done quickly. Also, to be able to try to pump out or produce some film study videos on certain players the day after each game. So Hendon Hooker, for example, Manu, Houston, if he plays, you guys know my affinity for him. Betts or Nate Lynn. What I'd like to do is Friday afternoon or Friday night, produce film study videos about those guys, then be able to watch the Ravens game and do a reaction video. For the Ravens, in case you don't know, and you're Lions fans if you listen this long, so forgive me if I digress here. I really want to see what the Ravens defense does on Friday with their new defensive coordinator, Zach Orr. And I wanted to share this with you because you may not, as a Lions fan, you may not know the story. It's understandable, so bear with me if you don't mind. Zach Orr was a guy that was an undrafted free agent for the Ravens, I think 2014, out of North Texas. By his third year, 2016, he was a second-team All-Pro selection. He had an amazing regular season in his third year. Unfortunately, he got injured the next to last week of the regular season. I think it was a herniated disc originally. And because of the testing that he underwent related to that injury, it got really complicated. He had to medically retire. He could physically run, jump, hit, whatever, but there was a risk of serious injury because during the course of missing that last week of the season, being tested and evaluated, he was diagnosed with a congenital spine condition, so medically retired. Young guy, undrafted free agent, kind of a sad story at that point. Third year, All-Pro, and all of that is gone. Briefly considered trying to make a comeback, ended up staying with the Ravens organization in a coaching position, and eventually leaves for a year. I think he went with the Texans, comes back. Works with Mike McDonald. I'm sorry, went with Jacksonville. Works with Mike McDonald as the inside linebacker coach. Now he has to replace McDonald. McDonald might be the biggest defensive coordinator shoes that have ever left Baltimore, except for Rex Ryan. Or trying to keep the Ravens defense at or near their level of effectiveness from 2023 will be extremely difficult. And so for me, it'll be a fun night Friday to try to get a couple of videos done for you as Lions fans, and then turn my attention to the Ravens. I think start at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. That's why I tried to explain all that to you. I'll be hustling to try to get videos done for you as Lions fans before watching the Ravens game Friday night and doing a reaction video as well. And then Saturday night, Seahawks and Chargers face off. McDonald in his first game as an NFL head coach. Who's he get? Harbaugh's brother. So I hope to create as much content as possible over the weekend related to those three games. Let me know your interest level for the Lions preseason game. I understand some people don't get as fired up as others. I have considered doing a live stream for the Lions game Thursday night. I had no idea what I would put up on screen because I don't show my face. I don't think it's necessary for you guys to see related to the film that we're trying to break down. So give me some suggestions if you have any about what to put up on screen. If I did do a live stream during the Lions game, I have thought about putting up the data that I'm entering and timestamps with in the bottom left-hand corner, bottom right-hand corner, the time of the game, the down and distance. It would be a considerable amount of work for me, but I think I could pull it off in a preseason game. I certainly wouldn't want it to be boring for the viewer, and with a time lag, I'm presume for some people, I wouldn't want to give away the results of plays, but a preseason game isn't particularly important for most of us. Anyway, let me know what you're looking forward to in the comment section. If you didn't enjoy this type of video, you probably aren't listening. But if you didn't enjoy it and you have some suggestions about how I could live stream on Thursday, please let me know in the comment section. Appreciate you guys' time.